Coming up on DITV, we'll hear from the mother of former University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts, a year after her daughter's death. And later, we'll give you updates on Hurricane Durian as it approaches the East Coast.
Hawkeye football is back, and we have all the updates today in sports.
Today might be a great day to bring your umbrella to class. Find out more later in weather.
All that and more coming up on this Tuesday morning edition of DITV. Don't go anywhere, DITV starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Lauren Varell. It's been over a year since the death of University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts. The Daily Iowan sat down with her mother a year later to talk more about Molly.
It was both goofy but could be very serious. She was, she could have a temper. She was stubborn. She wasn't the tidiest person. If you were to see her room, she's kind of a pack rat. But she was artistic and curious. So yeah, she was just a young woman. She was a young woman.
To watch the full interview, you can go to dailyiowan.com. Hurricane Durian is making landfall on the east coast of Florida right now. The Category 4 hurricane devastated the Bahamas and is now making landfall along the east coast. The hurricane is projected to graze the side of Florida and make an impact in Georgia and the Carolinas. But as for the Bahamas, the devastation is unlike anything they've ever seen.
This is probably the most saddened and worst day of my life to address the Bahamian people. We're facing a hurricane Durian, one that we've never seen in the history of Bahamas.
Counties along the Florida coast have issued a mandatory evacuations ahead of the storm's projected landfall. Well, up here in the Midwest, we sure don't have hurricanes, but we do have some pretty unusual up and down weather patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Mackenzie with more on those.
Thanks, Lauren. This morning may be a great day to skip class. We have a 40% chance of scattered thunderstorms with a high of 74 degrees. This evening is looking much sunnier with a high of 84. The rest of the week is looking really pretty nice. Today has a high of 89 and a low of 56 with a 40% chance of scattered thunderstorms. Wednesday is sunny with a high of 73 and a low of 54. Thursday will be partly cloudy with a high of 79 and a low of 64. Friday looks like a great pool day with a full sun and a high of 81 and a low of 57. Saturday is partly cloudy with a high of 74 and a low of 57. It looks like a great week to enjoy the weather. Back to you, Lauren.
A retail giant is opening its doors in downtown Iowa City. The superstore Target will open a new Target Express on Washington Street. The store is expected to open in the summer of 2020. And now students will no longer have to head all the way out to Coralville to get to their nearest Target. 3 presidential hopefuls made their way to Iowa City this weekend, but none drew a crowd as large as Pete Buttigieg. With more from our first edition of our political segment, Tales from Trails, it's DITV Segments producer Will Silverstein.
South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg was in Iowa City to open up his new campaign headquarters. Mayor Pete held his grand opening a quarter-mile away at College Green Park due to a mass increase in expected spectators.
Patriotism, but not the kind of patriotism that uses the flag as a weapon against fellow Americans. Patriotism that recognizes that when we speak up, especially when we speak up against leaders doing the wrong thing, that is one of the best ways we can honor our country, and one of the best ways we can stand up for the republic for which it stands. That's what it means to rally around the flag.
Buttigieg did not bore voters with specific policy, but focused his near 20-minute speech on the entrance of a new era in politics.
Now, we're not just here to win an election. We are here to win an era for the American people.
A Among the most important topics covered were climate change and gun violence. Two notable topics grabbing massive headlines over the weekend with a mass shooting in West Texas and Category 5 Hurricane Durian approaching the United States.
Make sure that the Second Amendment cannot be twisted into an excuse for inaction when gun violence is killing thousands of Americans every year. We have to change the inaction that has allowed us to get here and finally treat climate like the emergency that it is.
Buttigieg is looking to run both as a progressive and a Midwesterner in an effort to win over Iowa. Buttigieg currently sits outside the top 3 for Iowa and will look to continue to bolster his stock come February. This has been Will Silverstein, DITV.
Buttigieg's new campaign office is on Gilbert Street in Iowa City. Well, speaking of crowds, on Saturday there was quite the crowd in Kinnick Stadium for Hawkeye football. With more, I'm going to toss it over to Kate in our sports studio.
Yeah, that's right, Lauren. On Saturday, it was college football's 150th season, and the Iowa Hawkeyes hosted the Miami, Ohio Redhawks. It took the Hawkeyes a few drives to get going, but after this touchdown from Nate Stanley to Brandon Smith, it was all Iowa. The fans were having fun cheering on the Hawks as Nate Stanley was playing like the experienced quarterback he is, finishing the game with 3 touchdowns, including this one to Amir Smith-Marset to close out the game. The Hawkeye defense did their part, holding the Redhawks to just 245 total yards as they got the victory 38-14. An experienced team and the environment were just some of the keys to victory.
Thursday and Friday, I was like, you nervous? All the young guys, I was like, I'm not nervous. I can't be nervous anymore. Like, the worst already happened. Like, I know what to expect. I
just want to thank our fans. It was a great environment, night game in Kinnick. It's always special, but the crowd was really tremendous. Great to have a sellout on a holiday, and we're just really appreciative of that. So.
The Hawkeyes have their Big Ten season opener next Saturday when the Rutgers Scarlet Knights come to Iowa City. And over the years, Iowa's defense can be described in one word: dominating. Last Saturday, that stayed true. DITV reporter John Rawson has more on the dominating Iowa defense.
186 passing yards, 59 rushing yards, 14 points. Those are the standout numbers from this Saturday's season opener against Miami, Ohio. But the defense was still unhappy.
We have a lot of things to clean up. They're like I said earlier, they're a really good team. They came out to compete, and we just got a lot of things to fix up, and we'll start tomorrow and hit the film.
And when Iowa watches that film, they'll see a lot of double teams on star defensive end A.J. Epinesa. But for Coach Ferentz, that's no big deal.
You know, if they want a double team, that's 2 checkers for 1, right? And it's been a long time since I played checkers, but I think that's a good thing.
But while the defense isn't thrilled with their play, this is exactly the starting point they wanted: 1-0.
The bottom line is we're where we want to be right now. We're 1-0. Plenty of opportunity to improve. There's a lot of things we'll see that are going to have to get cleaned up, but it's an opportunity for us to get cleaned up and improve on. So just really happy about that.
Iowa looks to keep Coach happy and make those improvements as they gear up for the first Big Ten game of the season when they host the Rutgers Scarlet Knights this Saturday at Kinnick. Reporting from Kinnick Stadium, John Ross, DITV Sports.
While the Iowa defense had a few hiccups against Miami, the offensive line had a major one. Star left tackle Alaric Jackson went down with an apparent leg injury late during the Hawkeyes' second drive. While it seemed to be a very serious injury at first, news on Jackson's status seems to be a little less grim. The timetable on his return is 4 to 6 weeks, meaning if his return follows that timeline, then he should be back for the heart of Big Ten play. That's all we have for you in the sports studio today, but come back tomorrow for more football as Iowa prepares for their first Big Ten game of the year. Lauren, back to you.
That's all we have for you on this Thursday morning edition of DITV News. Be sure to head over to DailyIowin.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday. If that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition of the news on stands now. For DITV News, I'm Lauren Varell. Have a great day, Iowa City.